Today, I'm talking to Sarah Taylor Phillips, founder of Career Voyage, a game changing consultancy that's opening new doors for talent in their 50s and 60s. Sarah previously founded and sold a virtual interim marketing recruitment agency in her 30s, and she's back to revolutionize the more experienced candidate market. She had some fascinating insights on the impact of AI on our candidate selection and how to take yourself to market and find the right role, whatever your age or industry. Let's tuck in.
You'll spend 80,000 hours at work. You're here because you want those hours to count. Hi, I'm Zoe Schofield.
And I'm Erica Sosna. A warm welcome to the Career Equation podcast. On this podcast, we take time out from our award-winning careers consultancy to share a game-changing formula to help you solve the sum of your life.
Each week, we and our guests use the career equation to explore their story so far and help them unlock the secrets of a fulfilling career.
Career Voyage is about helping individuals navigate the new world of work, and it doesn't look like it used to. I've worked with individuals for a long time. I've worked in headhunting, marketing.
Sarah gave such great advice for how to really enjoy your career. Taking time to use the equation to pinpoint the kind of experiences and lifestyle that are going to give you real pleasure is important. Be intentional about it. And for those who get really anxious about making the wrong choice, try not to take it too seriously. Try to have fun. Remember that you can always choose again or refine your choice. A career is a series of choices. It's not one and down the trapdoor you go forevermore. And lastly, think about it as building a life that you love, of which work is an integral part.
I had an interim management startup, and we helped interim managers. We helped find them jobs, but also we helped them find their own jobs. So Career Voyage is about helping professionals find their own work. And also it's about helping organizations to find talent, which is really difficult. When I started my first business, marketing was incredibly ageist. And women basically, the more senior they get, the more women fell out of that function. So basically there would be a real brain drain or talent drain at 30. That's when women would come out of marketing in their 30s, basically. Maybe they were going off to start families, maybe they were relocating, but that's when women fell out of their roles. And the same thing happens at 50. So there's a big midlife collision, it could be, which consists of all sorts of things, and women walk away from corporate or walk away from the workplace. So what that means is female representation isn't there at those two stages, basically. And I think we know how good that gender equity is for business.
I actually, as you were speaking, I was thinking about one of my early clients who had exactly that happen in her mid-30s. She had what she described as her absolute dream job in marketing, really senior role, very strategic, very interesting. And when she had a family, she came back after maternity, said, can we be a bit more flexible? Could I maybe do compressed hours? And it was a hard no. And as a result, that organization lost her and she moved on to smaller business and to also ultimately developing her own consultancy. So I've really seen that happen in real time. Is it happening across a number of different sectors? Would you say the same pattern?
It's happening across all functions and all sectors. So I was at an event last night, a cyber event last night, and that attrition's happening at 30 and people aren't even staying in tech until 50 anyway. They're not there in the first place. So yes, it's a real issue, and it is more pronounced in different industries than it is in others. We started this company, Interim, to stop that ageism in marketing. And we did just that because we were putting people into marketing departments for a short amount of time. Then organizations didn't mind what they looked like or how old they were. It was more about, can they get the job done? And that's what Career Voyage is about. Helping organizations realize that these amazing people can get the job done. And it doesn't really matter whether they fit into this box, that box, or the other box.
So connecting organizations with great talent and helping that talent not to fall out of the workplace in times when we know they might be particularly vulnerable, which sounds incredibly useful. You've got a fantastic track record. You obviously know about starting businesses. What's the conundrum about how am I going to really give Career Voyage the momentum and the legs that it could have?
That's a great question. With my uber successful startup, I had a co-founder and we were very yin and yang. We were very job sharey and we had complementary skills. So we were playing to our strengths and we just worked brilliantly together. And that kind of the equation of us two together, our career equation was 1 + 1 equals probably the equivalent of 5 people. And so I think that's always I'm on this founder journey, and it's bringing people around me who have got the same values and want the same things to happen. So that's my conundrum currently. And the other thing about
Hmm.
Career Voyage specifically is when I started my first business, I was in my early 30s. I didn't have any dependents. I sold my place in London. I went and lived with my grandma, who fed me and looked after me and nurtured me. And I just had my business baby and nothing else going on in my life, to be frank. And now, mid 50s, it's very different. There's lots of other things. So I can't devote as much time to Career Voyage.
So more experience, but less time. And like many startup entrepreneurs, every hat on your head: marketing, finance, innovation, product, sales, etc. So how do you bring people alongside so you've got that community to bounce off and feel vital around? So great question. And let's see what the career equation can do. The equation is all about being able to really quickly pinpoint what are the elements that constitute a thriving career for you on a personal basis. And over 20 years of career coaching people all over the world and different professions, I discovered that they had broadly four anxiety buckets, four considerations that were really important. The first is, what are my strengths and skills and how do I place them? How do they play in to the work that I'm doing? We know that people love to have more and more opportunities to do what they do best at work. And as having been in recruitment as you have, you'll know exactly how important that is, that skills fit. But then we also have passion, which we say is all about the pleasures. What gives you energy? What makes you feel really buzzed? What makes you feel like it was a wonderful day at work and time well spent? So we apply our skills to an area of passion and we get a result that is meaningful to us on an individual basis. So I'm always curious about what defines success for a person. What is it that you're actually measuring when you say, that was a job well done and I feel great about that? And those are the three components of, if you like, the character aspect of the equation. But then we also recognize that it can all be enhanced or totally blown out the water by the environment that we put you into.
Mm.
And again, you'll be a real expert on how important this is, whether it's corporate culture, leadership, the speed of work, the resources available, the autonomy, the flexibility, all of those things, like the soil in which someone either grows or really struggles in. So the more that we can understand where the environments are that someone does their best work, the better they're going to be able to find and design work where they can really thrive, doing remarkable work for themselves, for their clients, for their business, for their community. So that's the equation. And the kind of benefits of really being able to be specific around that will hopefully come clear as we work together. I'd love to start with our first career moment, the moment where we ask, describe a time earlier in your life where you knew that you were really good at something, that you had a particular and unique skill.
When I was very young, a small girl with disabilities, and she'd been told that by all her physiotherapists and the doctors and everybody that she would never kneel again. And I persuaded her, spent time with her, and I taught her to kneel, and everybody said it was impossible. So that was about persuasion and influence and just not accepting no for an answer and making the possible happen. But that was a real moment for me personally, even though I was really tiny, because I realized that I don't know what people said was possible and what I could do were two different things.
Wow, what a powerful story. And I'm interested whether the experience of that success for both you and her was a surprise. Like when it happened, did you both feel, well, hey, I didn't know I could do that? Or was there a clarity of intention from earlier on? What was that like?
That's a really good question. I think it was just a shock because it was never going to happen, the impossible going to happen. But I think there was such a celebration there. We'd done it together. And I think that's one of my strengths. I have to be not on my own, but working with other people. But yes, it's that reframing. And yes, so it was a shock. And then it was just amazing. And we celebrated and everybody around us celebrated. It literally was making the impossible happen.
I love that. I think making the impossible happen is an incredible strength and skill set to have. And I know from my own recent experience of being paralyzed from the waist down and learning to walk again, I was also told I had an 80% chance of never walking again. And I was like, okay, well, that's a good solid 20, but also you're not in my body. So let's see. Let's just see. That's an incredible testimony to your enthusiasm and focus and what can become possible if you don't necessarily agree that it's not.
Yeah.
It's also an interesting question for me about how many people don't start something because they've just been told that's not possible for you. We know over and over again in kind of career coaching that people have been given a message at a particular time in life and they've nixed it as not even trying, not even thinking about it. So I think being able to communicate that there are more choices available despite what someone else has had to say, I think is an incredibly important skill in itself.
Particularly at the moment, the whole computer says no, or there's this no, no, no is the automatic reaction. And it's actually, I tell my children, don't accept the first no or the second no, or that you need to keep navigating and you need to keep walking through that. And that is a massive lesson, I think, for today. And I think computers have made it more no-y, the environment more. It's only possible if you're like this or you fit into this box. So I think it's a good lesson to challenge all of the no's always. But it's easier said than done often
Yeah.
as well.
I presume there's something quite binary about what's this is a slight diversion, but I think interesting and useful for the audience about the way in which AI is making selections about who can and can't do things. Because it's just a word on a piece of paper, isn't it? Maybe you've included it in your CV, maybe you haven't. What do you know about how those decisions are taking place?
The bias in sort of the AI and the ATS systems is for age, for gender, for is extraordinary. And I think I don't know if you've worked with ChatGPT, and it's a great tool for sure it is, but it's not human. It hasn't got heart. It doesn't feel. And I think resourcing in the future, headhunting in the future, and the way organisations fill their gaps in the future will be a mix, an alchemy of tech and humans working together, because you have to have conversations. You have to understand the human being, and tech just can't do that. It's putting you into boxes. And I think if you get more experienced, I fit into five, but I don't fit into one job box. I fit into five. So tech will automatically take me out of anything I'm applying for because I'm bigger than the box it's trying to fill. And then candidate experience as well. If you're looking for work, I run a job search group of 400 people who are looking for work. Oh, it's rude, it's inhumane, it's not fit for purpose, really. It's very difficult to go through that process again and again. I think we need to look at all of that differently.
So, the strength of being able to help people not shut down possibilities, but also something quite tactical about knowledge is power around what's going on within the recruitment space that might be hindering. It might not be about you, it just might be about the process that you're going through. Sounds like it could be incredibly useful insight for organizations right now who, of course, are taking advantage of application tracking systems and AI and machine learning to expedite what is a very bureaucratic and difficult process. So, really helpful and a lovely touch point, I think, about you as well and your earlier life and careers. So, thank you. Our second reflection is about what you love, right? So, passion in the equation is all about knowing what are the things that just give you energy that you could just do and do. The places, the spaces, the work. So, I'd love you for our second moment to describe a time when you really felt like I am doing something that I absolutely love and I would not want to be anywhere else.
Well, that was this interim startup we did. So we were the right time, right place. I had the right business partner. We were marketing specialists in the world of interim marketing. It didn't really exist in the marketing function before. If you worked in marketing, you worked full time, 9 to 5, or you didn't work in marketing at all. That's how it was. And we changed that on the client side. We worked with everybody you can think of, every big brand you can think of. And we did change the world, and we were just doing really great work. And being marketers helped. We took our big company backgrounds with us to this small startup, and we hired people on personality. Candidate acquisition people had certain personalities. Candidate retention people had different personalities. In 2001, we were working remotely. We had offices in Gloucestershire, our servers were there, and our staff were working from wherever. And it was amazing. We were way ahead of our time, pioneering, changed the world of work. And we went from the marketing function into the HR function and then into executive function. So yeah, it was just great time. And it was so purposeful. And for me, diversity is a big, so we did change gender diversity, but it wasn't just women that we helped. We helped all all other minority circles. We really helped them. So that was huge in marketing. And I was focusing very much on that 30 to 40-year-old kind of age there. Now I'm just 20 years down the track and I'm concentrating on the sort of over 50s. But that work was meaningful, purposeful. We changed the world. We had 3 months holiday each. So we were in the business, but we were on holiday a lot as well. We built it around what we wanted. And in our business plan, she wanted to spend more time with the horses and I wanted to go on holiday more. So we made that happen and it was just amazing. Amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, it really does sound very fantastic, exciting, dynamic. I remember joining a consultancy in 2002 that was also virtual. And I was like, that's it, I'm never going back. This is amazing. You can just do the right things in the right places. It took a pandemic and a long time for many other people to catch up, but there were virtual consultancies, businesses, and all of that, way before the pandemic. So even though you still had to plug in your Wi Fi, didn't you? And one of the really lovely things I think about being a startup is that you're sort of the deals that you do and the opportunities that you win are like special magic money. They're not like regular money that you make from perhaps when you're employed by somebody else. So I wonder whether there is a particular deal or project or placement that you remember whooping at as a team, and if you could tell us a little bit about it.
I don't think you can find so many people are doing work they don't love or in the wrong job. Or so for me, finding these people, and these people might have been breaking out of corporate, or they might have been testing the water to work in a different way or get more flex. One of them was very huge, large retailer, and they wanted an interim retail person. And we persuaded the best person to do that project, which was launching smaller mini retailers all around the country, had a drinks background. And we worked in partnership with our clients. And again, that's what was so wonderful about our business. There was trust, values. We knew what the business needed. We'd immersed ourselves in the business. And we persuaded the client to take a drinks person rather than a retail person. And they smashed that assignment and they were absolutely right. But things like that really mattered. Another thing that happened was a large client came to us, one of the greatest names you ever heard, and asked us to find an interim manager for, I don't know, too low a price. And so we said no, because we couldn't help them. And then they came and advised them who to go to and who to speak to. And then they came back 3 months later because we gave them the right advice and they needed to go higher on price and daily rate. And so it's working with integrity, the right clients and the right interim managers is really important. I just loved all. We had the best clients and the best interim managers. Perfect. And we were the experts. What could be better?
I really feel how much and how well all of that worked and how rich an experience it was, how rewarding. So it's great to see that you've stayed in relatively the same space and continue to bring
Yeah.
like another 20 years of expertise around that as you enter this new phase.
I think Career Voyage has been a vehicle that has allowed me to have more of a home life and be at home more, whereas the other business wouldn't have allowed that. But I think now, as my children are growing up, and this is why I'm really interested in careers and people upsizing their careers and downsizing their careers, because now in my late 50s, it's going up again. I want to get back in that work saddle. I want to get back to it.
Yeah. Yeah. We run a program at Career Matters for some very senior level directors of 55 plus in a global real estate firm. And it's been so exciting and interesting to go, there is so much more life to lead now. And mandatory retirement age is out of the way. You decide when and how and what retirement, or let's just call it next phase, even looks and feels like. We're living longer, our quality of life, our ability and energy, our versatility. I love it when I hear stories about someone training as a doctor in their 60s. Like, yes, we can do this now. But I think also with opportunity comes the need to make deliberate decisions, both as an employer and as an employee or an entrepreneur or whatever it is you decide to do next, that taking that ownership around careers has become more important than ever. But without a model, it can still feel quite overwhelming to make those decisions. And I imagine many of your candidates came to you with anxiety about getting that right, getting it wrong, how to make a decision.
There's lots of information out there, but there's too much information out there. And where do you start?
The third part of the equation is all about impact. I'd love to know a little bit about when you were in a time or a moment where you knew that your work really mattered. And of course, we've heard a lot already from the kind of impacts you were having in your last business. I'm curious to know a little bit of an escapade, a little taster for how you're making that impact on the Career Voyage side. Can you tell us a little
Yeah,
moment that
sure.
matters?
I think I'm working in that sort of 55 plus space and we're having a huge impact there. So clients that I have worked with, male and female, just they don't realize how precious and amazing and how brilliant and extraordinary and valuable they are. And we've had huge impact there because we have a program, we call it the Diamond Program, which is all around people understanding their value and their preciousness. And we take them through that program and then they go and do what they wanted to do. So that's had a massive impact. And I think on the organisational side, we're working with that at the moment. We want to make more impact because there's all of these skill gaps. People keep talking about the skill shortage and the skill gaps. But I want to know, it's like a Bermuda Triangle of jobs. What are those jobs called? Where are they? Who's got them? Because the narrative around this skill shortage, it doesn't make sense to me because we've got a lot of jobs, but we have got this amazing talent sitting around us. It could be career returners, it could be the over 50s. It's people who aren't in employers at the moment, and we should be matching the two or helping the two find each other. And that's where we're having an impact. We've been running an event, not an event, we've been running a challenge in Gloucestershire. It's called the 50-50 Challenge. And that's about 50 employers taking on 50 people over the age of 50 for 50 hours. So it's been about immersing those individuals into those organisations so they can have a good look around and get their confidence back. And employers can have kind of two-way conversations. So it's like a try before you buy. That's really getting to the nub of those roles that are out there and the people that are out there. When you are over 50 and you apply for a role, you've got a 10 to 20% chance landing an online role. If you're in your mid-30s, once you get to over 50, those percentages drop to 1 to 3%. It's a very different way of working. Indeed, I looked at Indeed the other day, and they talk about career stages. And at 55, it says career decline. It's not declining. It might be an acceleration. So there you go. That's what Indeed think about people over 55. But it's a different world out there. And yeah, so we're having a lot of impact there. But the usual routes of how you might find a role isn't the way to find a role.
As a leader in a firm, challenge yourself. To what extent are we limiting our talent pool when we focus on candidate age? What might someone over 50 bring to this role that we just might miss with someone younger? And to what extent are your internal talent pool being overlooked because of the assumptions you're making about their career trajectory and their aspirations? Taking time to find out what matters and what your talent really want can majorly pay off when you're finding new internal candidates. Many of our corporate clients have seen their senior leader internal mobility grow exponentially when they started to use the career equation for meaningful and regular career discussions. What's your key bit of advice for someone in their 50s onwards in this position of being a candidate with exceptional experience behind them, but potentially facing some other barriers, whether it's AI or just human discrimination?
For me, the key bit of advice is to start with themselves and understand what the things you've talked about, their strengths, their passions, not just understand them, but be able to articulate them, feel them, believe them, all of those things. So it's starting with them. And once you've done that piece of work, once you've discovered brand you, I'm a marketer, so once you've discovered brand you, then you don't need to look at the whole of the job market, or you don't need to look at all of the jobs. Suddenly the things you look at are a lot smaller, and that makes you more focused. Think about organisations you'd love to work with and where they've got a problem, and then put a proposal together to go and solve that problem, because that job or that thing that you might be absolutely brilliant in probably isn't advertised on a job board somewhere. And if it is advertised on a job board, you've got competition, there'll be internal candidates. But if you invent that job yourself or create that job yourself, then you've got no competition, and go out there and talk to people. My advice is start with you and be targeted about where you're looking for work and be proactive. So don't just sit there and wait for the ads to roll in. Think about what you'd really love to do and go and talk to people and see how you can do it.
Fantastic. Yeah, we talk in my one-to-one coaching as well about having earned the right to go and make a suggestion that would solve a problem. Job title is going to become obsolete over the next few years because they've just proliferated so much as to become meaningless. Even in the same organization, you can have the same job title, but completely different work and skill sets required for that. So it really is going to become more about this co-designing that says we need these skills and capabilities, perhaps even just for a shorter period of time than we might have previously. And we also need people proactively pitching and matching themselves to the culture and the opportunities in organizations. So I think that's definitely where it's going. And it's very exciting, I think, for people to take it into their own hands and run with it rather than waiting for the job to descend from on high, whether you're internal or looking at the job boards outside of your organization.
Job seeker, you're on the back foot, you're hunting, whereas you're a problem solver. You're going to give your client a solution. You are the solution, not the hunter or the seeker. And I think that reframe's really important.
Yeah, I love that. And our last bit is about environmental factors. And so we've had a chance to get a sense of your strengths and natural capabilities. We've definitely seen the verve and enthusiasm that you bring to things that you love. We've been able to look at the metrics for you, what really matters. How do we know that you're doing something that's valuable to you and to others? I'd like to ask you is actually about environments in which you weren't able to be at your best. What are the environmental factors that make it very difficult for you to feel successful?
I've got a career voyage. We've got a brand new compass, a career voyage brand new compass. And on my compass, we've got a whole piece on environment. It says, do not work from home. I'm at home now. If I am working from home or I haven't seen people, for me, it's like being in prison and I just can't. I'm not in flow. I'm not in the right place. So for me, it's about making sure I'm in an environment with lots of people and working with others. And that collaboration thing is really important for me. And I think that's the key thing to look out for yourself because that environment can be a deal breaker, can't it?
It's common for us to think that now that everyone can work from home, that's all that they want to do. But plenty of experience of people moving out of organizations that don't have enough of a strong sense of community and in person togetherness and the identity and the benefits that come from that. As much as you have people going, no, I want to retain that autonomy to work from home, that works for me, and moving the other direction. So, what have you done to take care of yourself? You've got a career compass, and the compass already tells you, hey, red alert, you're getting lonely. What sort of things have you built into the design and flow of how you manage your week or your work to accommodate and take care of that?
Well, I've got a portfolio career, so I will work with certain clients and I'll go into their offices and work with those certain clients. I think the belonging piece, that culture piece in an organization, I think once you're out of an organization, that's the bit we miss. The self-care piece for me is absolutely huge. And that self-care involves lots of communities and tribes. And I think working with different people in collaborative ways, that's something I really need to focus on finding some partners stroke associates in the next few months. I'm doing that at the moment.
Yeah, building out those relationships to have a solid team, whether that team
Absolutely.
is in permanent relationship with you, whether they are on PAYE, is less important than the sense of we're tribing together towards something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, that's really important. And I think job share really works. So again, I'm exploring that.
That chance to reconfigure. And we talk about a career being a series of choices where you explore how do I align my gifts with how I spend time and make money. And that it's great for people early in their careers, it's good to remind them you've got lots of choices. There isn't just this one, and then you fall down a trap door from which you can never emerge. But it's also really important to tell people later in life, just keep making choices. That the style, the flow, the activity doesn't work for you anymore, make a different choice. And we've never had more opportunity to make those choices. But again, guided by that insight. So it isn't impulsive, it isn't in the dark. In terms of that decision making. So let's have a chance to put all this together for you. We're going to try and fill in some gaps that are going to give you what we call a career design, which is basically the career equation formula, but it's bespoke to you, Sarah.
Yeah.
So the first thing we want to write down is our name. I
Sarah,
will use my skills in
making the impossible happening by influencing and persuading.
and my passion for
My passion for intergenerational alchemy and the huge pools of hidden talent.
two,
Two, change the world of work and make the impossible happen.
and an environment that is
Aligned, fun, and people filled.
works best for me.
Works best for me. Thank you for my career equation. I love it. It's great. I will think about it and articulate it as my marketing. I'm a bit of a reflector, so sometimes I have to go away and has to settle and then different words will come. But yeah, that is perfect. Thank you. I love that.
Oh, my pleasure. And how well do you feel like that's currently being lived in the work that you're doing? If you were going to do a little tweak, a little amplify, which bits of it do you think you're going to focus on a bit more over the next few months?
That's a really good question. I think I need to get a bit more structured about how I sort the people filled piece out. And that's what I'm doing. I'm actively looking for those people. And I think because my children driving and I won't see them anymore. They're not here now, for example. I've always been at their beck and call. It's time I won't be at anybody's. Oh, I want to be in a different world, in a different environment. So this downsizing my career so I could be there and on deck at home has changed. I want to be on deck at work now on my career voyage.
Yeah, so that's really amplifying up. If I can offer something also from listening to you, would really say that persuading and influencing, you have that so naturally. You're really able to tell powerful, helpful stories, data-filled stories about real people, real organizations, and real impact. And that not only gets you out into community, but it also gets your thought leadership and ideas around it out there. So that would be my invitation, is like, are there ways that you can combine the search that you're in and the investment of time and energy you're giving with this natural disposition to be able to explain the problem so well? Because it's really been very enjoyable and very educational to spend the time with you.
Always remember that career is a random set of experiments. And I think young people, I think we're all under so much pressure to know what we want to do and where we're going. And sometimes it's happenstance. Don't take it all so seriously. And then I think the other thing is all of the cumulative things that add up over your career are really important. Don't underestimate all of those things that have happened and all of those things you've worked at school, at home, wherever, and how important they are to your career. Not do what you love, because you could do a job you don't love that much, which pays you well, and then go mountain biking because you do love that, or play golf all the time. Or so I think that have a life. People talk about work life. Actually, it's life, isn't it? Work's a part of that. But so I think about have a life that you love. That's what I would suggest everybody does. Then burnout's reduced and you work and live happily ever after.
Such brilliant advice and a great idea to end on. Sarah, thank you so much for participating in the Career Equation podcast today. And if we want to find out more about Career Voyage, and if you want to get in touch with Sarah Taylor Phillips, what is the best way to do that?
Probably the best way to get in touch with me is I'm all over LinkedIn all of the time. Career Voyage has a website, careervoyage.co.uk, and I'm on Instagram, and I've got my Be Inspired, Get Hired Facebook group, which you can find me on. So yes, that's the best way to get hold of me, those probably on LinkedIn.
Brilliant. And we'll put all of the details for all of the different links for the work that you do into the show notes so people can find them. But it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today. It was great fun.
Oh, thank you so much for the invitation.
Sarah gave such great advice for how to really enjoy your career. Taking time to use the equation to pinpoint the kind of experiences and lifestyle that are going to give you real pleasure is important. Be intentional about it. And for those who get really anxious about making the wrong choice, try not to take it too seriously. Try to have fun. Remember that you can always choose again or refine your choice. A career is a series of choices. It's not one and down the trapdoor you go forevermore. And lastly, think about it as building a life that you love, of which work is an integral part.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Career Equation podcast.
Stay connected with us on socials for more career insights, behind-the-scenes moments, and updates on upcoming episodes. And if you'd like to work with us, visit the Career Equation website or click the links in the show notes.
Remember, the Career Equation isn't just a podcast, it's a journey towards unlocking your full potential, enjoying your life, and doing remarkable stuff.
Until next time, keep solving those career equations and pursuing your path to success.
And don't forget to share your thoughts and feedback with us. Your input shapes the future of our show.
Until next time, keep solving those career equations and pursuing your path to success. This is Erica Sosna
And Zoe Schofield. Signing off.